Are you going to settle for just building a practice, or do you want to build a legacy, a chiropractic healthcare legacy that affects generations, that even lives beyond you being a practicing chiropractor? You know, that is so fulfilling because I have the opportunity, I know you guys do. Hey, you get a parent, maybe they bring their mom in, and maybe they bring their kids in, and maybe those kids grow up and you see their kids, and you have three generations already as patients. You say, well, I have that. Well, I have the experience being a chiropractor for 36 years, moving away from an area, coming back 32 years later and seeing kids that were born that I never knew, that those 5, 7, 8 years old already grew up. And not only are they going every week, not only are their parents still going every week, but these kids I never met are going every week. How would you like to create that? Well, there's one principle that is so powerful that can give a patient purpose that they never go back to medicine for healthcare. They use you as a chiropractor. And what is that? Here it is. You have to create an opposition. What's that mean? That means, what's that principle? What they've never been told. Now, what have other healthcare providers, even chiropractors that help their back pain, what didn't they tell them? Well, they didn't tell them the principle. They didn't tell them their spinal cord was their lifeline. They didn't tell them their life and health is dependent on it. Now, I know that you get that, and you may be sitting there saying, Fred, I get it. I teach them that. Okay, well, if they get it and you're in the pre-consultation, hey, you know, because of many stresses, bones, curves shift out of place, and it's called a subluxation. Did your other chiropractors tell you about that? Now, 99.98% of the time, they're going to say no. Oh, well, what I'm about to tell you, you may quickly realize has been controlling your health most of your life. Now you have their attention. What do we say? It's like a dimmer switch on a wall, right? Give an analogy, shuts the energy down. The energy gets shut down in that organ progressively weakens and causes disease. Here's the key. Would you have liked to have known that? So when that doctor set a goal, or even the MDs or physical therapists, just to get rid of your pain, and you had a spinal injury and a nerve injury that was sending energy to the organs, would you have liked to have known that that could be breaking your organs down? You've had back pain on and off. You've seen doctors on and off for 20 years, and you still have the same problem. What if all those 20 years it could be affecting your organs and your health? Would that have been important to you to know 20 years ago? And what are people going to do? Because our elite clients do this, boom, right there. Yeah, I wanted to know that. Yeah, that's important. And then you get in the consultation, you find out they have asthma. They have asthma 10 years. And then you find out, you know, 15 years ago, 17 years ago, whatever, 12 years ago, they had a car accident. They fell off a horse. They were a rugby player. And I'd say, you know, before your MD gave you the inhaler, did he ask you about any traumas? Look at my face, getting all confused. Did he ask you about that? Did he say when you have traumas, you fell off that horse and landed on your head when you were 16 and you got asthma by the time you're 19? He didn't ask you about that. He didn't tell you that the nerves of the lungs come from your lower neck and upper back. Two areas, respiratory center here, and then your neck. Now you maybe say, well, I tell him that. Yeah, but you're telling him, well, here's the nerves and this is what it costs. As opposed to, did he tell you when you have that trauma, it's a matter of time before your lungs break down, your immune system breaks down, and then you get conditions like asthma? He didn't tell you that? No other doctor told you that? Well, we help people with that every day. And we see a direct correlation between trauma, weakened immune system over time, and conditions like asthma. I help people with that every day. If you have a problem in that area, do you want me to check that out? Would you have liked to have known that? Because you've been on an inhaler for 10 years, right? When you get to the exam and then you find out they got a left thoracic cervical translation. Hey, did your doctor, chiropractor ever tell you translations up here are going to kink those in your spine, shut everything down below? Did they ever tell you that the majority of low back problems don't even start in the low back? and shifts like this in your neck can affect your low back. Do you know right below that shift is also direct nerve energy to your heart and lungs because you got heart palpitations, you have a history of high blood pressure in your family. That's a generational pattern. And you also have immune system problems, a generational pattern. Now you have asthma. Did anybody ever tell you that? No. So if your spinal cord is your lifeline and that lifeline's being pinched and choked and kinked, that there's a direct correlation between those health problems. They never told you to go to a chiropractor that would look at that? Look at my face. No. And now we have the Back to Health book. Now, I wrote that book about medical studies that show all of this. The relationship between cervical problems and asthma and immune system and cardiovascular problems. The relationship between posture, hyperkyphotic, forehead, head posture, all these things that relate to immune system function that cause 20 diseases that most people are dying of today, including autoimmune. So what if you told them that in the consultation, and then at the end of the day, when you say, here's this book, and I'm going to highlight forehead, head posture. I'm going to highlight the study that shows that trauma like that can lead to asthma and cardiovascular problems. I'm going to highlight the fact that stress on the cord and this forehead, head posture and hyperkyphotic spine lead to autoimmune disease. And that's what you have. And medicine has known about this, but none of your doctors told you. And then you wonder why you've gone to all these doctors that give you drugs and you're frustrated because you haven't been helped when all of them promised you that. But don't you think it's interesting nobody talked about that? Can you see the difference of maybe why you didn't get better? Right? But you're here, so I know you still have hope. Take this book home and read it. I'm going to develop study x-rays tonight. Now, if this is related to the cause, how important it would be to have your husband here. Have your husband, Rick, Jim, John, whatever his name is. Because if he's gone with you with all those doctors, and take him home and have him read this, take this home, have him read this chapter. And then we're going to set up a time for the both of you tomorrow. By the way, all of this is a generational pattern. And I see you have 3 kids. What are their ages? Does any of them have allergies? Does any of them have recurrent coughs? Does any of them already have asthma? This is going to pass down through generations. So can you see, Mrs. Jones, why when people learn this becomes their health care lifestyle for them and their family. Now, if this can actually help you restore the healing energy, eliminate these diseases, and you have a better life, and you can actually correct that in your kids before it even forms or stop it right now, how important would that be that your husband knows about that? That's it right there. And all you're doing, you're saying, hey, look, this is what medicine says. There's a direct correlation. So if you fix what they say, is it possible that maybe that would get better? Are you treating the disease? Absolutely not. What are you doing? Correcting the spine, correcting the subluxation. So the doctors that are using this, and we're going through this in boot camp 1, coming up day 1, day 2, we're going to show you exactly how to do it. Doctors that are using it, patients are like, you know what? I'm not going back there. You know what? This is what I want to do. You know what, doc? Can I bring my son in because he's got asthma? You know what, doc? You can bet my husband's going to be with me when you go through my x-rays tomorrow. More spouses at day 2 RF, more family referrals right from day 1. And then we work on the whole family tree. All right, you guys. Hey, go to Elite Coaching LLC, click on the link below, schedule a generational legacy call. Let's talk about what your challenges are, what your vision may be. And if there's something where we can collaborate and take you to a whole another level, give you purpose, power, and impact, then you're going to fulfill your purpose and make a bigger difference in generations to come. All right. Love you guys. Peace.